Hello, Kyle Ferroly back with you for that chapter that's a little more controversial. And I don't mean it in any negative way to say that there is a blind spot in traditional medicine. Therapists assume, and I am a mental health therapist, so I say this carefully. Some of my mentors are mental health therapists or have been. The goal is to help you process through some of the problems that you've went through. In traditional medicine, it's to look at the symptoms and try and come up with a diagnosis. There are huge roadblocks and blind spots in both of these areas. When you start with therapy, you're asking someone to re-eat breakfast, as one of my mentors says. Thank you, Jeff. And you are asking them to drudge through the past. And what happens with that is you start feeling the emotional sadness or anger or hurt or fear. And you put your mind, brain, and body into the fight or flight response, which we just learned about as the blind spot of number 4, which was the body, and part of the brain, which was number 3. So you're asking the mind, brain, and body to pretty much sabotage itself to try and process through things. And you wonder why therapy takes months to years to be effective. You can have the best therapist in the world. If you're shutting off and you feel like there's a bear chasing you, you're not going to listen to anything they say. Now, obviously, I believe in therapy, and I want people to have therapy or have a coach or have a mentor or somebody that can guide them through some of these things. But we have to look at the blind spots that we've already talked about and get the physiology and the fear and the nervous system balanced so we can work through them a little bit easier. Now, the second part, traditional medicine. For the last 11 years, I've had nothing but an uphill battle trying to show traditional medicine doctors that there's a tool in their backyard called the EEG, which is used in medical research and practice to look at the brain. Daniel Amen is a brain health pioneer out in California. I think he has 5 or 6 or 7 clinics now. And if I may quote him, the brain is the only organ we're not looking at before we treat. And he's right. He's also found 7 different patterns of ADD and 6 or 7 different patterns of anxiety and depression. He might find one more in his next book. Who knows? The bottom line is, all jokes aside, is that there are symptoms that can overlap, but they could be a different pattern. And the meds don't work with all the patterns. So now you have medically trained professionals handing out pills based on symptoms, but symptoms can overlap. I recently gave a talk out in Vegas, and it was, you want to gamble with your health? I don't want to gamble with my brain or my children's or my wife's or even friends or families or yours. I want to know what's happening inside of your brain. What areas are working too fast or not fast enough? Is the connectivity too fast or too slow between networks and regions of your brain, which is going to impact your behavior and your affect and your mood and your thought process? Remember, your brain's the physical organ. Your mind is the conceptual ability to think, act, and feel. You need to have a brain, obviously, to have a mind. Well, that's getting philosophical. I shouldn't say that. I might get hate mail. The bottom line is we're looking at the blind spot of traditional medicine, which is when you go to the doctor, they base it on your symptoms. And for me, that's not okay. And I don't mean to compete. I want to complement. I want people to understand the field of psychophysiology is kind of like where chiropractics were 20 years ago. Nobody really knew it or got into it or trusted it. And now there's one on every corner, whether you like them or not, whether you feel they are voodoo or you feel that they have science behind them. That's not the point of this conversation. The point is that it's grown and there is a track record that some people obviously feel that they're getting better from it, that they're everywhere or they would vanish. So let science progress, let the field of psychophysiology grow, and hopefully someday, maybe in my time or my kids' time, you'll see medical doctors using psychophysiology, using the tools we have to look at the nervous system and the brain to help diagnose the issues or concerns that you have right now. So the next video, to give you a little spoiler alert, is all about motivational speakers, self-help books, coaches. They're excellent tools, but just like counseling, if you're not ready for them and you feel a threat or you feel your body is not where it needs to be, basically there's a bear chasing you, you're not going to know how to read that book. You're not going to know how to process that lecture or that service or whatever you might be trying to gather from. And eventually your health starts going down the toilet and you end up at your doctor's office hoping for a fix. And then when that doesn't happen, that's when we go into the next blind spot, which is self-help. You take matters into your own hands, and in the next video I want to tell you a little bit more about how that works. I'll see you then. Thanks.